Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is the Part-Time Artist Podcast, and this is episode 189. Got a really cool show today, but before we get into that, I want to let you know that this is your last chance to get in on the radio show. The 2024 radio show will be held New Year's Eve, December 31st, live. Okay, and if you released music in 2024, you can DM me on Instagram with a Bandcamp link to the song that you want on the radio show. I cannot go through your whole discography. Please don't send me an album and tell me to pick a song. If everybody did that, I would be, up to my eyeballs in albums to listen to, which is a good problem to have. But it's still a little bit of a problem. So just make it easy on me. Just DM me one song at Roger Stays Creative. You should know this already, but that's where I am on Instagram, Roger Stays Creative. DM me a song. I only have a little bit of space left. So yeah, this is the last call. Live December 31st, New Year's Eve on YouTube, okay? If you're not watching this on YouTube, I just now figured out how to upload the videos to Spotify, so you could be watching this on Spotify. I don't know. You could be listening on wherever. But with all that being said, the radio show will be live, so hang out with me New Year's Eve before your festivities or whatever you're doing. Hang out. Listen to some songs, some brand new music, and show some love. Aside from that, YouTube is also just the best way to support the podcast, to support me and what I'm doing. If you could subscribe on YouTube, it would mean a whole hell of a lot. My goal was to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year. I am like 30 subscribers away from it, so again, would mean a whole lot to get up there to 500 by the end of the year. If not, it's not the end of the world, but that is the coolest way to support the podcast. The other couple of ways you can support the podcast are by signing up for DistroKid to get your music on things like Spotify or other streaming platforms. What else? Oh yeah, Visible. Visible is the cell phone service that I use. So I just have a referral code. It's a very easy process to switch your cell phone plan. It's only $20 or $25 a month, and it takes like 15 minutes, seriously, depending on the phone you have. If you have like kind of a phone like I do, like just like a regular iPhone, you just download the eSIM and boom, you get a phone number and you're good to go. You can even use your old phone number. You can check out all the details at visible.com, but please use the link to sign up because you and I will both get a free month. It'd be really cool. There's also a link to donate there. And also I joined the street team for Camp Punksylvania, so I am going to put a link to buy tickets to Camp Punksylvania and hang out with me in Gilbert with music and just the greatest time of my life, and is going to be yours at Camp Punksylvania. So I'm out here trying to spread the word about camp. Hopefully I will get some artists in the future that are going to be at Camp Punksylvania, and then we'll learn a little bit more about that. But for now, let's jump into the show. All right, I have with me a very, very special guest, another West Coaster. We are back doing the West Coast again. I have with me from the band Poppy Roscoe, Izzy. Izzy, thank you so much for coming on the show here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Izzy, before we get rolling here, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of new music coming out, but before we get into all of that, all right, I want to know, if you were an animal, what animal would you be?
Newt.
What color?
I'd like to be a color changing one if I have the option. Be like a chromatic newt. Depending on the day, if I needed to breathe. Well, if I need to breathe fire, if I need to have like electricity skin, you know what I mean?
Electricity skin.
That'd be awesome, right? Change then I'm yellow, you know?
These
I
are
wanna
all
breathe
like
fire.
band names. You're a machine.
Electric skin.
Yeah. And what kind of newt was it before? What was the color changing newt called?
The chromatic newt.
Chromatic newt. That's another band name.
Chromatic newt. Fire breather. That is a band name. That's a stoner metal band name. Very good, by the way. Free plug for them.
Yeah, definitely free plug for them. Wow, that is such a. I didn't know you had that answer just in the chamber, like ready to go. Why? What?
I live it.
Yeah, you live it. Where did the newt concept come from? Do they even have newts in LA?
Oh, so I've lived in a lot of different places. When I was in high school and college, I'm very moist, and so I was always the animal thing was always very moist. I like owls. So if I had to choose, I would want my spirit animal to be owls if you get a choice. But I know deep down, I am a newt. Okay, I'm gonna tell you this because I've never told anyone this before. When I was in college, do you remember? I can't even remember his name. It's one of the characters from Game of Thrones. Someone, and I've gotten this from multiple people that they've told me that I look like this guy. And this guy played Paul McCartney in a John Lennon documentary. He's like lived my life but British. And his name in one of the things that he did was Newt. And so I think one of my friends was just like, "You're very moist and you look like Newt. You're just Newt." And I was like, "Man, newts are so cool. They're like wet and amphibious, and newts have skeletons." Did you ever think about? Actually, hang on, wait a sec.
Skeleton newt. Oh my god.
Look at that little guy.
We went there.
Look at him.
Look at him.
Got a guitar.
Well, now everything makes sense.
Yep.
Now it all now we can I have actually no more questions. We can just wrap here. No.
Well, it's been a wrap, guys.
As people can probably tell already, Poppy Roscoe is quite the curveball when it comes to what you guys are doing musically. Like, I feel like there's a surface level when I listen to your tunes. There's a surface level because it's groovy, because it's rocking. But then there's these songs that kind of can come out of left field. You know, there's these, you know, intricate interludes, and you have a movie and all of this stuff. Like, what are you?
So it depends. What clearance level are you? I know you've heard of the moon base, but have you been there?
Pink.
Oh man. All right, you got all the juicy deets then.
Yes.
So when the band first started as a college art project, so it was very much like we're doing this kind of to fill a grade, I guess. But because of that, it was like, well, we can do whatever we want, right? And originally when I started the band, I wanted it to be okay. Have you ever been talking with someone and and it's like the conversation? You're a musician, so you usually ask, well, what kind of music do you like? You know, because you can usually gauge if someone really likes butt rock. You can assume they're a divorced dad, sort of thing. You know, so when
we're
you
on
ask
their way
someone,
there. Yeah,
we're on their way there.
Yeah.
So it's a fairly common question to ask people, and a lot of responses that I seem to get are, well, I like a little bit of everything. And if they're really brave, they'll say, I like a little bit of everything except for rap and country or whatever they want to do with it, right?
Right.
And so I figured if I was going to start a band, I would want to do that. Oh, you like a little bit of everything? Well, I have something for you. And I think a big problem that we had, at least with the demo tapes that we've done in the first couple albums, is they are very... you get whiplash. I've heard people say that you get whiplash listening to the album so many times because you'll go from a surf rock song like a dredge to a rock song, and then you're back to some other weird thing. And even within those songs themselves, we like to do something new. And I think kind of the idea is that, well, we want to be a little bit of everything. And if we were, I've heard, how many bands have you heard where you're just like, oh, this band is just doing this. Oh, this band is just Nirvana.
Sure.
Oh, this band is just doing AC/DC.
Or Motorhead, or
I don't. Or they're going for Motorhead, right? And I don't. It's okay to do that an artistic view because every art is just not stolen, but every art is inspired from somewhere. But I would really like to not have that. The problem that you run into when you have a band like that, if you are, I'm sorry, Greta Von Fleet, I really believed in you guys when you first came out, but I'm just gonna
You
listen to
did?
Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Their first album came out and it was like, oh, they're young, they're emulating Led Zeppelin. All for it. Let's see what they do. Second album comes out, it's like, man, you guys are really doing Led Zeppelin. Came out and I was like, can we do, Led Zeppelin did other stuff. Let's hear what Greta Von Fleet sounds like. And then it was just like, all right, I'm off the train. I was so excited. And that's,
it makes me think of the Spider-Mans that are all pointing at each other.
Exactly. It's like, I don't want to be in a band like that because if it comes down to it, it's like, if I would love to be in like a Beatlesy, Pink Floydy, classic rock revival type of thing. But then at that point, it's like, well, if I want to listen to the Beatles, I'm going to go listen to the Beatles, you know?
Yeah.
So throwing people curveballs is the only way to make something new and exciting, even if it fails terribly. And there's some songs out there where it's like, man, we should have not done it like that. But hey, nothing ventured, nothing gained, you know?
It's a part of the process. I mean, you had written, and this was one of the first things I read about you was you guys were, if Jimi Hendrix was in the White Stripes, is what I read about your sound, which I gave a bit of a side eye. I was like, that seems like a lot.
Right. And it's a lot. Our guitarist is amazing. He doesn't like being compared to Jimi Hendrix. And I think it's because it puts a lot of pressure on him.
Yes.
And right. But he's so good. And the rest of us are just doing garage rock. So we got reviewed in, I want to say it was Modern Musician or Apollo's Harp. We got reviewed in some internet magazine and they said that about us. And we're like, yeah, okay. That's how, I think they were a French magazine too. So there might've been something weird about the translation, but we're like, this is great. This describes us. We're going to start using it as our tagline. So
now, before we get into your this first tune here, something I saw from you guys is you're obviously you're from LA, you're West Coast, but I read somewhere too that like your listeners are mostly East Coast. And and honestly, a lot right here in Philadelphia. How does that happen?
When we were initially trying to push our music out there and try and get it kind of released, I think we made the mistake of trying to go too global. So we have a really big listener base on college radio. And when we were initially pitching to some of these college radio stations, we didn't think, oh, we should stay in California. We said, no, we're going to pitch to everyone. And it just so happens that one of our biggest turns that we get is in the middle of New Jersey. We love this guy. But the problem is we're not going to drive 40 hours to go and do a show with him when we kind of did a shotgun approach and we didn't do that for no reason. We thought, okay, well, if everyone in the country has some listening idea of us, then if we ever did a tour, we're not just limited to our area. We're not limited to California or Nevada or the Southwest. We can do different tours. And so what we started doing is instead of staying in the state, we started branching out. So the last tour that we did, we went all the way up to Canada and back, just on the West Coast. Now it's like, okay, now we have a presence there. The next one we're going to try and reach out to the Southwest, which is a lot harder to do if you've only ever localized yourself. And so on the East Coast, at least my rationale was I want to hit the East Coast really hard because we're not on the East Coast. I also really, 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 really want a world tour, and I want to go to Britain. So we've done a lot of Britain too, Britain and a little bit of France. We've tried to push things over there just so that we can, well, we'll circle around. We'll do local and then a little bit bigger and then a little bit bigger and hopefully grow that. But it's a lot harder to grow that sphere if you have nothing around there. So,
well, on that note, then I guess my follow-up question for you is, like, from a practical standpoint, wouldn't wouldn't it be better to go back? Do you feel like it's better to go back to the places you went to on the last tour to keep building the momentum in those places? Or do you feel like it's better to just keep branching out into different directions and seeing if maybe there's one place where it's like, holy shit, this place is gonna, I don't know, break us or something?
Yeah, an issue that we were finding when we first moved to LA, we were playing shows weekly. We were playing 2 or 3 shows a week. And at first it was great because we were hitting the same clubs, I'm sorry, we were hitting different clubs with kind of similar people still coming out and seeing us. But now that we've been doing this for about a year, when we first started, we had maybe 50, 60 people in the audience who were there to see us. And then slowly it started eroding and eroding. And now, before the tour, we played a show and I think we had like 6 people show up. And especially talking with SoCal indie musician, the insight is kind of, if you play too much in one area, why would your fans come and see you more than once? If you play on a Tuesday, Thursday, we had a residency too, so we're also playing once a week at the same place, just to kind of a bar. So it was like, well, if they can come and see you at one place for cheap, why would they come and see you at other shows? And so kind of doing the West Coast is really nice. But if we did a West Coast tour right now, we wouldn't get anyone because a lot of the people who came out to see us were, oh, they're coming to Washington. They've never come to Washington. Let's go for the first show. If we try and come back, because we did play multiple shows in different towns that we were in. If we tried to go back there now, it wouldn't be as special. It wouldn't be as interesting because we have the same set. The next time we come back there, I want a completely brand new set. I want to give people a reason to come out, you know? But by that same token, you can't cut that off too soon because if you just play a new set every single week, it's going to be a little rusty. I'd say give yourself 6 months, a year, get really comfortable with the set, and then just rip it out, start it over, do it from scratch, you know? And that's kind of the approach that we're trying to take in this. Especially from talking to other bands and from our own experience, it seems to work. It seems to be at least a little bit more interesting. Instead of, we play every Thursday, the same set, or we do a jam every Thursday, we do the same thing. Like I said, this band, I want to keep this band moving and keep this band alive. So maybe in 2 or 3 years, I'd like to do the same exact circuit, like you said. 2 or 3 years from now, let's go back and do the same places even. Why not do it, or if not same places, then same city. And then we can say, well, we only come out here once every couple of years. You should come to this one, know?
Right.
You can't come to this one? No problem. We're playing another one in a couple days on our way back down. Hit them on the way up and then hit them on the way back down,
Interesting.
And me, myself, if there's a band in town for multiple days, even if I love the band, I'm gonna go see them once, And if they're around too often, I'm gonna see them once and then probably not see them again, maybe until I get the itch or until they come out with a new album, until they have something new that they can bring me in as a fan. Which, if the tickets were $2, hell yeah, I'd see them. But tickets are like $30 for some of these bands. The lowest they go is like $10. It's like I can't keep doing this every day.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get in the mindset of myself as a fan and just from talking with other people.
Yeah, I want to get into this song, but I think this is a really powerful thing for people to talk about, especially musicians, because like we're all trying to figure this out. And even bigger bands are trying to figure this out because touring is just so different now and music scenes are so different now where it's like what we have to even figure out what is the point of playing a show. Like what are we trying to accomplish when we're playing a show? And it's interesting to hear you talk about it because you're talking about getting people to come out to the shows when you go on tour. And like my perspective of tour is I'm not getting anybody out. I'm trying to play for the people that are coming to that show. Does that make sense? So it's like people are only finding out about us when they see us live. So that's why my line of thinking was like, I was like, man, maybe we should just keep touring the same cities so that more people are seeing us as opposed to, you know what I'm saying? Like there's two sides of that coin where people are coming out to see you, but then people are coming out and they don't know who the fuck you are, you know? But they'll come and see you next time or something. I don't know. Something like that. The snowball has to get pushed, you know?
Oh yeah, most definitely. A big issue that we're finding in Los Angeles has so much diversity in the music scene. It's really easy to get lost in that, especially with some of the shows out here. They'll have six people on the bill. And there's a rapper, and then there's a DJ, and then there's like a punk band, and then there's a goth metal band.
Wow.
And it's like even if we could just kind of squeeze into that, people aren't going to go see it for the whole thing. They're going to go see the kind of the section that they want. And so building a community of bands who are one, cool, which is hard enough to find cool musicians, but people who sound the same as you, because we have run in when we originally way back in the day in 2019, back in the day, right? We kind of had that same idea. It's just play as many shows as we can, as fast as we can, with different bands at different areas. And would be fantastic. But this band is weird. I'll say it. It's just, it doesn't really fit into a bill easily, because we've tried. We've been like, no, this is our hardcore rock set, and then we have more of a soft set, and we would try and like mishmash it together. And the problem is if you go to a show and the headliner's a DJ and you're a rock band, even if they see you and they meet you, your chances of actually connecting with them are lower, because they're probably much more into a genre that is removed from you. But if you can have, I'm trying. It's always a juggling act, because it's like, well, I want a little bit of everything. So you came to see a surf rock band tonight. We have a surf rock song for you, and maybe they'll remember that. You know, maybe and so shooting off into the ether and just kind of doing that reaches people, and it works. But it's also, man, it's tough out there. Yeah. Why would you go see them live when you can go stream their music, you know?
Yeah.
You got to be good at everything.
Yeah. Why go to the movies when you can watch Netflix? All right, let's give the people a taste of what we're talking all this time about. This first tune here is, I believe it was kind of like your first song to really, I guess, put you guys on the map. This song is called Freaky People. Check it out. All right, that tune was called Freaky People. Now, that tune is also a part of a larger work, which is the movie, which is Poppy Roscoe in Sea Fortune and the Desert Rats. All right. Break this down for us, just so we know what we're doing with this. All right.
So
the
album,
just be like, yeah, figure it out.
The album originally started as I wanted to write a children's book. The problem is I can't draw and I can't really write. So
you might need
I had I kind of thought, I mean, the old adage is just stick to what you're good at, you know? And so I thought, well, shoot, make a concept album. I like concept albums. Concept albums aren't dead, and they shouldn't die because they're just so cool. Being able to tell a story with music, it's not self-contained, and it can kind of expand on something because you only have 3 minutes, 15 minutes if you're a prog band. Even that isn't really a lot to tell a story unless maybe that's what you're doing. No wrong answers in art. But it originally started as a concept album, or as a children's book that morphed into a concept album. And it was literally just, hey, I have this piece of this piece of this. Let's just kind of shove it together and see what happens. So in 2000, God, whenever we started that project, 2022, 23 maybe? I think it released something like that. When we first started it, the problem was COVID had just happened. So the band had been on hiatus a couple years before COVID had even happened. And we had really no band that was practicing. There were really no members in the band. I had never animated before. We had zero support network. I think everything was off of Spotify even at this point. And I was kind of like, okay, this is a spoiler. I want to make a big, grand space opera. Something big, 30 songs, 2 hours, animated. I've been working on this for however long now. And I kind of realized I wanted to get into it. I still want to get into it. I wanted to but I kind of realized we have no starting base. You can't just, an analogy is you can't slay a giant without being able to climb its legs. You know, you can't just go straight for the brain. You got to be able to, you got to get your climbing gear. You got to level up and you got to, take on the beast. And so I thought, okay, we can't just do this. You can't just jump into like a 2-hour animated nonsense and you can't animate, right? So
right.
Desert Rats was kind of a proof of concept that 1, we could do it. 2, it wouldn't be terrible. And 3, we could do it because honestly, if we couldn't even start the project, do it together as a band. I mean,
right.
And it's really funny when we started it. You could tell we couldn't animate. Like we were doing the Windows Movie Maker thing where we're like green screening ourselves and just pasting it on and kind of trying to move everything manually. And by like halfway through, it's like, even watching it now, it's like, okay, we kind of started to figure it out. And by the end, it was like, okay, we finally are more comfortable with the software. It took maybe 3 months to animate it. Just because a big problem that I have personally is working on it too long. It gets stuck in production hell. Every musician probably has this, right? And it's not perfect. This movie it was shot on like 2 iPhone 4s at the time. The green screening is terrible. The goal was always to go back and, finish it and do it right. But at a certain point, you're just like, I got to go back to work. I took like a month off, 3 months off to do this. I got to go back to work soon. I'm out of money. We need to push this thing out just to prove that we can do it. So it's not perfect. It's in like 24 FPS, which is insane for a movie. That's like a TV format. It's so when we were recording the drummer, I didn't realize this, but we were cutting off the top of his head and the bottom of his drum kit. So when the first scene is this awful green screen, and yeah, we'd love to go back and do it, but I think it kind of adds to the charm, and it is what it is,
Yeah, definitely.
And each song kind of on its own stands for different things. And one thing that I really want to do with this band and this project, okay, for any musician out there, you're probably gonna disagree with this. Listening to an album front to back, a full 30 to 40-minute album, is boring. Most people don't do it. There are very, 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 very few people who, when a new album releases, will sit down, put it on, and listen to it. Maybe you'll have a listening party with a couple friends, but odds are it's in the background, right? I think that's fair to say for most people. I love doing that. When the new Kendrick album dropped, we were literally in our car on tour, and we were like, no, we are listening to this front to back. Reincarnated, I love that song. But you just don't get the experience of a full album, and that's kind of the point of a concept album. And so I think one way, maybe, to bring this back, and I should say, all the stuff that I'm talking about, completely with a grain of salt. I am guessing. These are just straight guesses. But I think one of the ways I want to reincarnated the concept album is with visuals. Because people will watch through a movie, but they won't sit through an album. And even listening to certain albums for half an hour, if they're not mixed well, you're going to turn it off. It hurts your ears after, you know? And so I wanted to test it. I thought, well, shoot, I'm not just going to do 2 hours. Let's do 40 minutes first and see how it goes. And I think the product was proved that it was at least interesting. One of our best friends, he went to film school. He's this nice film guy. He does stand-up comedy too. He's a really cool guy. Dane Anthony Delaney. Really cool guy. But another shout out, another free plug. But when we showed it to him the first time, he's very picky with his movies taste, and he'll tell you if it's bad. The only thing he had to say about it was, yeah, for a second there, I thought I was watching a real movie. I was like, all right, now we're talking, now we're cooking, right?
Who's got the iPhone 4s now?
Oh, who's got an iPhone 4 now? But, so,
side note, I want to also point out, just this is a totally irrelevant thing, but side note, they're making a sequel to 28 Days Later. It's called 28 Years Later. And the rumor is they shot the entire movie on iPhones. Did you hear about this?
No. Why? What? Why?
They shot the whole movie with iPhones. So there's no excuses. But, you know, something I did want to bring up is, I don't know, I remember it was a big deal when Beyonce at one point came out with this album and didn't do any promotion for it. Just said, here's the album. And every song had a music video. And to me, that was like, oh my God, that is so fucking cool. Like to be able to do that as an artist, that is the ultimate like concept album experience. Like if you can do something like that. And the fact that you guys did that, to me, I was just like, I was so proud because I was like, at least someone is living my dream here.
You just gotta quit your job and
wait for the next pandemic.
Yeah.
Aside from that, so that concept album, that is you guys coming off the pandemic, coming off of a hiatus, and being a 3-piece band. And then we started getting more and more people along. And now let's talk about your most recent single we're going to hear in a couple minutes is Vacation Forever. You've accumulated now, what, a 5-piece band? Is it 5-piece?
It's technically 4 with the Phantom 5 and a live guy. So
Phantom 5 is another great band name, y'all.
I'm just giving these out for free.
I don't know how he does it. He's like...
I got the name generator on lock right here.
It's right up there between your ears. So, but this is a real evolution in like your guys' sound, because it's like it almost has, we went away from the White Stripes and we dove into like Death Cab for Cutie or something. How has the added band members added to the songwriting process?
So when we were a 3-piece, we played 2 shows, and that was really it. We played at a beach in San Diego, and we played another show in Phoenix. And we weren't a live band. We were a studio band who kind of knew the songs. We never learned the songs though. So one thing about that album was it was written kind of piecemeal, because the studio that we had recorded it at was owned by me. It was essentially a practice studio that we just recorded stuff in. It was one of those monthly lockouts that you can get, which there's a whole other story than that. But because of that, we didn't have time to learn the songs together. So I just wrote the songs, kind of made fake parts, and then came in later with the overdubs and said, all right, everyone hopefully this works. It was
Here
only
are
until
your
later,
assignments.
right? Because I cannot play and sing guitar at the same time. I can kind of do it. Bass is so much easier. I don't know. Everyone's told me this. It's like, you play bass and sing at the same time. It's
What?
like, yeah, that's way easier than playing guitar. Are you kidding me? There's all those strings.
I find
don't
it
know what to do with any of
harder.
this.
I find it
Each
way
their own.
harder.
But so because we didn't really have a full band, there was no really way to play them. So we wrote them. We were a studio band first, and then went live. And then when we finally said, "Oh shoot, people actually like this," yeah, we got to get a band. So, long story short, one of the original guitarists that we formed, I don't know if he likes it when I tell this story. In 2016, 2017, we met our original guitarist, who was 16 at the time, and he helped us record a demo tape. And the latest release that we did was actually one of the songs that he helped record back then. So when we got together at the band, he just had, our timeline is ridiculous. I lived in Mississippi and Nashville for a while. He went to school out in Nashville, and then I moved to LA, and he was also moving to LA, so it just worked perfectly. It was like, hey man, you want to like rejoin the band that you kind of helped form? And so when we made this newest song, we already all knew them. So it was very easy to say, okay, we're a 3-piece. Now we've added a 4-piece who already knows all the parts. And we brought in his girlfriend to play rhythm guitar. Now I don't have to worry about rhythm guitar. I can move on bass. All of a sudden we have a cohesive unit. And it just clicked out of nowhere for no reason other than we just do it. You know?
One thing just led to another.
And then you might be wondering how I got here.
Exactly. So let's dive into this fresh single now with the full lineup. This tune is called Vacation Forever. Check it out.
Vacation Forever.
I'm feeling like I just might not go into work today. I'm drained until I cannot see the daylight drip away. They put a pencil in my hand, the letters to my head, but I'd rather dream and lie here in bed. Will I be free? And they might say I'm crazy just for wanting to be lazy, but lately I've been hasty, spend the hours wasting safely. And even if they're right, this love makes my heart feel so light. If I can't pay the rent on time, then who would mind the rain? Someday these bones will grow too old to run and catch the train. 'Cause money's really very nice, but if they buy all of my time, then what's the point? Maybe you're the one who's out of your mind, and I'll be free. I've labored all my days to waste on autopilot, lost in space. The past is gone, it's been erased. My mind is in another place. So even if they're right, this love makes my heart feel so light. Are you really gonna wake up early again? Leave your life and all your friends as the kids are growing old, only doing what they're told, while you lose who you are. Spend 2 hours in your car for some job that you hate, but you'd better not be late. Put your dreams aside till later for a fucking piece of paper. That would be crazy. It makes my heart feel so. I'm not crazy. I don't think so. I'm not crazy. It makes my heart feel so. I don't think so. I'm not crazy. And I'm free.
All right, that tune was called Vacation Forever. It's the latest single, or rather double single, called The Devilish Dance. And you can find Poppy Roscoe on Spotify, and check out their website, poppyroscoe.com. There you can see their YouTube and watch the movie that we're that we're geeking out over.
Please watch it.
Now, you guys said you're not a live band, but somehow we've toured with Alien Ant Farm. Is that a real thing?
And Slightly Stupid. We played a couple shows with them when they were out in San Diego. It just kind of happens.
I know every word to that first Alien Ant Farm record, and I don't know if that's something I should keep to myself or if it's something that I should, be proud of, because it was monstrous in my upbringing. I had that CD all the time. What?
Yeah.
That was 2002? Was that 2002? 2001?
Early 2000s. It might have even been late 90s, honestly.
No, it wasn't late 90s, because
it was early 2000s.
I definitely had to have been at least in 5th grade, I want to say.
Okay.
I think I was at least in 5th grade. If I was in 4th grade, that would be wild for me to be doing that.
I was 12 or 13 maybe when I wasn't a teenager. No, I was a teenager when that came out.
Oh my God. I'm doing it.
Google it. Oh, what's the thing? Riley, pull that up.
Pull it up. March 6, 2001.
Dang. In a pre 9/11 world too.
Yeah. And I was here, man. I remember carrying that shit around all the time. I had that. And shout out to Alien Ant Farm. That album is so good. I love that shit. What was it like hanging out with them?
So the only reason that we got that show, very wild, random story. One of the members of the band, one of his high school best friends works at the Whiskey, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in a band," and the guy was like, "Hey, you want to play with Alien Ant Farm?" And we were originally like, "Why would we play with Alien Ant Farm? We sound nothing like." They're like they're rock, but they're kind of Latin-y, and they kind of like do this other stuff. It's like, maybe it'll work. And our drummer found out, and he was like, "No, Alien Ant Farm is one of my favorite bands. They're my dad's favorite band. I used to talk to these guys whenever they would go through Phoenix. Like I would go out of my way to talk to the drummer and ask him how he like did stuff." They're like, "Okay, Jake, we will play with Alien Ant Farm for you." So when we played the show, his dad flew out from Arizona and came just so he could watch us open for Alien Ant Farm. And we hung out. They're nice. They're normal guys.
Yeah.
It's funny. The drummer recognized our drummer. He was like, "Oh yeah, I know you. You were the one who asked me how I did this cowbell thing. No one ever asked me about that."
Yeah. That's incredible. I'm very jealous. That's so cool. I haven't seen them, and it's like fucked up, because it's like I know that record front to back. Why haven't the stars aligned and I seen them? But I don't know. It's just one of those things, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, along with that, let's talk about like the music industry a little bit, because that's kind of how it works. Honestly, I hear these kinds of stories where somebody knows somebody, and then all of a sudden you're opening for Alien Ant Farm. Recently, like we're 'tis the season of people showing their Spotify stats or whatever. And recently I've seen a couple of artists, and every once in a while there's a new artist that speaks out against the streaming industry. And in the past month, we've got Kate Nash and Charlie Benante talking about the streaming situation and the music industry, and they were pretty outspoken about how like detrimental this was, and they're everybody feels this on a different level based on where they are in terms of success and popularity or whatever. With all of that being said, what is like it's the way music is, it causes everybody to, I feel like, reevaluate redefined what it means to be a musician and what it means to be in a band. What is your perspective on being in a band and being an artist? What is your, like, given what the industry is, what is your perspective on that?
I hate to say it like this, but I think it's true. Most bands that you'll find today aren't really bands. They're like a solo project. Because
Right.
when you think about it, it's usually one, maybe two people writing all the music, but beyond that, doing all the work, booking all the shows, making all the merch, putting all the posts, running all the things. So it's interesting that we even still call them bands, because the way the industry works now is you don't just get a group of people together and then they make their demo tape and then you put that demo tape in front of someone because someone knows someone. The problem is music is just so. I mean, I heard once that there are more registered bands in Los Angeles than there are people, active or no.
Wow.
And that's just shocking, right? Los Angeles is already huge, and we're talking about so many bands that you can't even fathom them. The human mind is very myopic. It can only do so
Insane.
much. And when you just flood it with just content after just nonsense, it becomes like you just get caught up in it. And so it's not, well, we are a band now. It's, well, our band has 4 members and then 4 separate solo projects, because it's just so easy to do that. You don't need a recording studio to do it, you know? And on the Spotify thing, I remember hearing Snoop Dogg, he was on a radio show, and he said 1 billion plays got him $40K, which is a lot of money, but for 1 billion plays, it only got you $40K? Is that a problem with the streaming service or the fact that we are streaming? I would love a world where we could go back to listening parties. But at the same time, it's really cool that I can just be like, there's this weird obscure band from the 70s that I know no one has ever heard of. Oh, they're on Spotify. They're there. You can listen to it whenever you want. It's so convenient and cool to be able to do that. And what we're sacrificing for that, you can argue, and maybe I'll talk a little bit in defense of the industry. There's a lot of good that came out of it. I don't think people talk enough about that, how good it is, but it just sucks being an artist, because now, back in the 70s and 80s, and I have a gripe with Grateful Dead over this, but back in the 70s, 80s, 60s, you made your money by playing shows. You would get paid by playing shows, and your records were there to promote the tour, to promote the live aspect of it. Now everything is flipped. You do your tours to promote, and this harkens back to what we were saying earlier, but you do your tours and your live playing to promote your streaming services.
Let's be honest, we're all just selling t-shirts.
Yeah, exactly. We're all just selling merch. We're not selling music anymore.
We're traveling
business.
T-shirt salesmen that play jingles for art.
Right. Well, if you're lucky, you get to graduate to vinyl, which will sit on a shelf because most of the people who buy it just buy it. Exactly, right? And it never gets taken out of the wrapper because maybe it'll be worth something someday. You're not selling music anymore. You're selling everything that goes around music. And the worst part of the music industry isn't how music, this is just my opinion. I don't think it's how music is treated. I think it's the fact that so much time has to go into everything that isn't music. Because now all of a sudden you're not 4 guys or girls, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, Pat Benatar. You're not 4 people who get together and make music because you want to sell it to people. You're now people who get together because you want to make music, but if you ever want it to go anywhere and you want it to make money, you're not selling music because music is now free, which is so cool when you think about it. Music is free, but it just puts artists in shackles because now you've essentially made art worthless.
Yeah.
As bad as that sounds, you've made the art worthless.
Yeah.
But you've created this other industry of just nonsense. And I'll tell you this. Remember Neil Young and Tool and all these artists who took their stuff off of Spotify? They're back on Spotify.
They're back on it, yeah.
They're back on. It was a great stand while it lasted, but it is a juggernaut that's not going to stop. We can
Slipknot was off too for a while. It's like every once in a while there's like a band that's like, fuck this, I've had enough, and then their record label is like, hey,
you have to do it.
Weird.
This promotes your money. It's not about the music. This gets people listening and wanting to buy stuff. which is for all of the good. I mean, there's good and bad and everything. And I think that people are very pessimistic. It is a very real issue, and I don't want to take away from that. But there is a lot of cool stuff that comes out of that. The normal person, now all of a sudden, if you were like, man, remember the band The Seeds? If your grandfather is like, this band back in the day was The Seeds, but I lost their vinyl in a fire, I'll never see that again. Oh, Grandpa, YouTube Music, they're on here. Oh, this is a happy day. Just little tiny things like that. Because, okay, I say that story because that's happened to me. My aunt, she had Dan Hicks and his Hot Licks. There was an album that she loved, and she lost it in a fire. And she was looking for it for years. And one day, I think I was on Apple Music or something. I was like, Dan Hicks and his Hot Licks. All right, I'm going to look for it. Found the album, linked me to Amazon, bought her a CD, got her the CD. She loved it. And it's just cool that we can do that. Is the cost worth it? I don't think so as an artist. But also, and I don't think many people are going to agree with me on this, I think it's liberating. Because now all of a sudden, the music is worthless. So do whatever the hell you want. Now, we don't have to make poppy. I don't think that I need to make poppy music to be liked, because the music is worthless. People are going to like you or they're not going to like you. Who cares? The music could... Oh, God. The music could sound... I'm sorry for anyone out there who likes 100 Gex. That's just the internet in music form. I don't get it, but it's not for me. It's weird. 10 years ago... No, not 10. Like 20, 30 years ago, if you gave a 100 Gex album to a record exec in the 70s, they would say, get the hell out of with this avant-garde shit. No one's going to want to buy that. Now, make it. They're selling out stadiums because it resonated with people. Music is worthless. Do whatever you want. There are no rules. We're back to anarchy, man. We're back to ground one.
It's simultaneously so nihilistic and at the same time so fulfilling. And it's so weird that it's sharing both of these sides of the coin. But what frustrates me about Spotify in particular is that they don't need to be doing it the way that they're doing it. And they know that. And they're like, imagine a world where Spotify is somewhere between Pandora and Bandcamp. And at the same time has their revenue streaming alongside of YouTube, where like if you get 1,000 plays or whatever, it's like, I don't know what it is when you're monetized on YouTube.
100, I think.
But when you reach a certain threshold, you can actually kind of do something about it. And I heard that almost 80% of the music on Spotify isn't monetized at all. So 80% of their like stuff, they're kind of getting for free. And then the stuff that they are paying for, it's so little that it's like laughable. And at the same time, it's like, why are people really going on Spotify? It's because they're getting that stuff for free. So it's kind of like, there is a way for you to sell music. You're just choosing not to because they're giving you a cut. It's so evil. Like, conceptually, it's fucking evil. And
even Apple Music, they still sell music. You can still buy the music, and then you have your library, right?
I have no idea, but that to me is such a like... It's like, okay, if you can listen, but to me, it's like if you want to go to Spotify and listen to an album, it's like, all right, that's cool. But like, if you want to listen to it again, it's like, all right, you need to buy it. You know, you listen to it. If you like it and you want to listen to it again, you got to buy it. And I feel like it should be the same thing with songs. Like if you listen to a song 3 times, you know, Bandcamp is like, hey, you should buy this when you're listening to it on the app.
Don't even force them. Just, hey, support the artist. You seem to like this song. Something, some little
like there's
nugget, right?
so many things that because they figured out how to have ads in there. They figured out how to get their money in it. It's just fucking weird. And the whole algorithm game and the playlist game, it's like even that is something where, again, like those artists should be like, okay, if you're listening to a playlist, maybe that's free because you don't know what you're listening to. But if you hear something on the playlist and you like that and you want to hear it again, okay, you might need to buy it.
I haven't looked at the stats in a while, but I know as of 2022, 2021, Spotify did not make any money. All of their money came from outside investors, advertisements. One of the big and this pissed off everyone, and it pisses off me, but I can see the rationale. They for Spotify, if you have under 1,000 views, they deleted all your data and they said, we're not going to pay you past 1,000 views, which is shitty. But when you think about it, that's a couple cents by their own system. Their system is flawed, but that couple cents added up for them. You can see them start now that they've been around for so long, they have to do right by their investors, which is I promise I haven't drank tonight. I won't get super political, but that is a fundamental problem with capitalism, especially in late stage capitalism. You have to do right by your investors. These people have given you money, so you need to make them money now. That exchange of, well, Spotify, great service, not making any money. Already it wasn't making money. Now they had to lay off all of those people, which was also shitty, and it made their service. Now Spotify is just a nightmare to deal with. If anything, if there's some strike against you or you get on a playlist and you want to get off, there's virtually no customer service. But they had to do these because they were forced to in a capitalist system, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But you remember when YouTube didn't have ads?
Yeah.
Remember that? Those days? Remember when ads went live?
Yeah.
YouTube is still doing great. If Spotify did what you're talking about, I think people would stay with Spotify. It's the same reason why I think Apple Music, not the streaming service, but Apple Music at its core is still around. It's because these people who had these giant libraries of Apple Music don't want to move. So some people, I know at least 2 or 3 musicians that I've worked with still buy music on Apple iTunes. And it's like, well, dude, use Spotify. Everyone uses Spotify. No, I have my library. It is perfect. It is manicured. Spotify doesn't feel like it has that. It has some playlists. It doesn't feel like yours. It feels like everybody's.
Yeah.
And how they would come back, make money, and give that to the artists, just reviewing their history over the past 10 years that they've been in business, they're trying to stop the bleeding. They can't pay artists. Maybe. And I'll leave it to this. Maybe they could. Maybe they're just being greedy and they're pocketing all the money. That's 100% possible. I don't know. But on paper and in public, they lose money every single year. They've just started to kind of stabilize and turn that around. I don't know what the numbers look like as of 2023, 2024. But I would love for them to do that. I love to play, I don't know if you could tell, I love to play devil's advocate. I agree with everything you're saying. It is a shady ass thing to do. It's miserable to make money off of other people's work. But it's the system that we live in. People have always profited off of other people. What pisses off is landlords, but that's a whole nother
I saw on the internet the other day that someone said Spotify is a landlord for artists.
They are. And so it's not I blame Spotify, don't get me wrong. But I see it as an issue of a bigger, I hate to use the word systemic, but a bigger systemic issue that has nothing to do with Spotify. Spotify is not American. They're Swedish or Norwegian. They just have to play by this game.
They are a Swedish company, but people forget this, but one of the first CEOs or one of the first like members of the board of Spotify was the CEO of Napster. You know, effectively Napster and Spotify are the same thing. The guy who made Napster or whatever helped the guy who made Spotify and said, yeah, he was a CEO for a long time too, and then he stepped down. But essentially they figured out how can we create a Napster where record labels are still getting money, and thus Spotify was created.
Yeah. I'm optimistic. I'm very optimistic, and this is going to sound strangely nihilist and pessimist. I don't think Spotify is going to be around forever.
Well, they're coming for podcasting. That's their new thing now. I don't know if you know this, but this is something. This is a total other side note. But as of probably maybe a month ago, a few weeks ago, Spotify just launched that they will host your podcast absolutely for free. Host your audio, host your video, which is something that there were many companies like Libsyn and Podbean and all of these other like third-party middleman companies that were being used to host podcast data. Spotify just said, "Hey, we'll do it for free." A few weeks ago, and that is going to be a thing. And basically, even in their FAQs, they say, "Why are we doing this?" It's like, "Oh, because we want to be the sole podcast platform." They're basically like, "We just want to be the podcast platform now." So and they promise there's going to be a monetization system with the podcast now, which is going to be similar to that of YouTube, but that's what Spotify is coming to now. They are taking over podcasting. You heard it here first, but that's what they're doing.
I don't use social media. The only social media I use, if you can even count it, is Twitch. That's where I get all of my memes, all of my like information. I'm telling you,
that's hilarious.
I made an Instagram account so that I could follow the band. That's the only reason that exists.
Yeah.
So I hope I kind of like Twitch. It's got its problems, but whatever. Every company has its problems, and it almost
it's
feels
Amazon
like,
now. But yeah, go ahead.
Oh God, he is a lizard person. I'm okay with shopping on Amazon. Let me just say that I'm okay with shopping on it. We need to make this man enough money so he can go back to whatever planet he came from. He needs to just get off Earth. We need to fund his space rocket to go back to Uranus or something.
I don't think he needs funding from us, but yeah.
That's true. He's got enough
He's
money.
Lex Luthor.
Oh God, no. I've been saying this for years. If he would be the supervillain. Him and Musk. I called Musk. I knew he was going to be a supervillain. He's starting to crack, though, under the pressure. Superman or Batman is getting him. You know what?
Doesn't it look like, do you remember, I think it was the Justice League, where they had, like, the villains of the Justice League, they had this, like, underwater, like, lair or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Doesn't it look like those three dudes, like, would be in that underwater lair? Fucking Musk and Bezos and Trump and all those, like, billionaire people.
The League of Evil?
The League of Evil or some shit. Would have the joke.
It's going to bother me. Yeah.
Oh, man. We're not good nerds.
All of this is just... It feels like you have to support the beast that's killing you, because you have to.
Yeah.
Especially as a smaller artist. As a bigger artist, maybe Eminem could survive taking his media off Spotify. Fine, but all of his fans probably have his CDs. They're going to be fine. For a modern musician trying to do anything that extreme, it's just shooting yourself in the foot. But by that same point, everyone you talk to says, "Oh, are you on?" Not just people, not just listeners, but I mean industry contacts, representatives, booking agents. Everyone wants to see your Instagram, Spotify, and maybe one other, maybe a website if you're lucky, but you can't get offline. You cannot escape the big beast that Al Gore has created. And so what are you going to do? Because if you say, "No, we are taking things, we're taking things back to the past, CDs only, vinyls, cassettes," good for you, man. But that's not productive. Modern problems require modern solutions. You cannot go forward if you're just looking backwards. You can't do it. There's a solution there. There has to be. That's optimistic. Worst case scenario, we're just all boned, which is looking less like a non-zero possibility.
That's what people are starting to realize, I think. Even the bigger artists.
9/11.
Jesus Christ. Speaking of websites, puppyroscoe.com, everybody. That's how you can get all the good stuff.
All the good stuff. Your 9/11 details, your conspiracy theories on... Oh, God, no. Please don't. Please don't do that. We don't need more. We don't need more of that. We already get so much weird spam.
He's got an agenda.
What man out there would send a dick pic to a band. Why are you doing that?
You're just asking for it now. You're just asking for it now.
I mean, don't stop. I'm not saying don't stop, but like,
At
moderate
least get
it.
hard first.
Put some good lighting on it. I want some production in my dick pics.
Oh my God. Oh man, we should have stopped recording a long time ago. Okay, so what's going on with Poppy Roscoe? We have a future live album. That's what to expect, right?
Yep. Coming out with it, Alpha Bar Tour. Recorded everything. It's going to sound good.
So we are proud now of, first we were not a live band, and now we're so proud of the live sound that we've recorded it and are willing to put it out there as a live
what are we going to do next?
Cool.
You don't know.
You never know.
I don't know.
He keeps flipping around. All right, so this last, the only other album we haven't touched on is of the Manzanita album, and we're gonna dive right into that here with this last tune. This tune is the 7th song on Manzanita. It is called Plastic Sun. Follow Poppy Roscoe on Spotify, poppyroscoe.com. Check them out. Future live album coming, and stay creative, everybody. Rip on.
Toxic rain.